A show created by the fans, for the fans. We are your home for Ohio State football coverage all year long. The Scarlet and Gray Podcast, a Network 216 production. Live weekdays on the Network 216 YouTube channel. Send us all your questions and comments on Twitter at @VSG_podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Tyler Johnson, Jordan Dalton, and Nick Leisure.
Hello, Buckeye Nation, and welcome to today's episode of the Scarlet and Gray Podcast. We have your Ohio State game day preview as the Buckeyes are taking on the Iowa Hawkeyes this weekend. I am Tyler Johnson, joined as always, Nick Leisure, Jordan Dalton. Gentlemen, good afternoon. How are you guys doing today?
Doing well.
Good.
We're talking about some Buckeyes, Hawkeyes action.
Yeah, man, just another stepping stone in the schedule for the Buckeyes. I think a little bit of an upgrade from Michigan State, so a lot to get into.
Yep, for sure. There's plenty to get into. A lot of updates to talk about on both sides for both teams, as we've already heard from both coaches this week. So, guys, if you're ready for another Ohio State Game Day episode, we want to see your support. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you are brand new to the channel. Again, we really appreciate that support and everyone that tunes into these Ohio State Game Day previews. We know that it is actually normally our most popular episodes are these Game Day previews. So, again, show that support if you would, please. If you end up listening on audio, we ask if you would just take a quick second, give us a 5-star review. What that does is that really helps Apple and Spotify know to push the show out to other users that are interested in Ohio State football. So we really would appreciate that. And guys, Ohio State is taking on Iowa this weekend. Iowa comes in at 3-1. This Iowa team, much like other ones in the past, they have shown that they can put up points. Normally, Iowa struggled to score 10 points in a game. But this year, so far, Illinois State, they put up 40. Iowa State put up 19. Troy, they put up 38. Minnesota, they put up 31. So this Iowa team, even though they still can't throw the ball really downfield, they've been able to still move the ball more on offense this year. When you look at this team, what do you think is the biggest element that the Buckeyes are going to have to the Buckeye defense is going to have to focus on Saturday?
Stopping Caleb Johnson.
Yeah, I would say slowing the run game down, right? I mean, Cade McNamara, he's only thrown for 588 through 4 games. So I mean,
Yep.
Not crazy impressive numbers. And I mean, Ohio State familiar with Cade McNamara already, the transfer from Michigan. Just slowing down Caleb Johnson, like Jordan said, is going to be, front of mind, obviously. And that's been Ryan Day's really big preaching point on the defensive side of the ball anyway, is stopping the run first. So, that's already top of mind for Ohio State every week, but especially this week against Iowa.
Yeah, Caleb Johnson has more rushing yards than Cade McNamara has passing. So it seems like he is the go-to guy on their offense. Will be a good test, though, because we haven't really faced a running team like this. And running the ball has seemed to work pretty well against Ohio State early in this season. So, definitely excited to see. And Caleb Johnson kind of playing for a little bit of something here. He's an Ohio kid, and I know he's going to want to lay it down on Ohio State. I know there was a report that came out this week that he said even if Ohio State offered him, he wouldn't go there. And so I think there's a little bit of, I don't know, he just doesn't like Ohio State apparently. So, and then other than that, just they can't really throw the ball. I think their 2 leading receivers are tight ends, and they don't really spread it out much. So I think it's going to be a very one-dimensional game for Ohio State's defense to defend.
Yeah, I will say. Oh, go ahead, TJ. Go ahead.
No, sorry. What I was going to say is just adding to what Caleb Johnson said. You can say that he wouldn't have gone to Ohio State anyway, but I think more than likely he is one of those Ohio kids that is still salty with the fact he did not get an Ohio State offer. So, again, just have to say that. And that being said, he's a great football player. I mean, he is what makes Iowa go. I mean, when you're averaging at this point well over 8 yards a carry, clearly you're doing something right. He has 9 touchdowns, so he accounts for basically the majority of their offense. I mean, at this point. So if you contain Caleb Johnson in this game, Iowa has no chance, because if you look at Cade McNamara, he pretty much should have stayed at Michigan because he fit in really well with the style of offense they're running over there now. The guy can't throw for more than 100 yards in a game. And when he has, it was against Illinois State and it was against Troy. When he played Minnesota, couldn't get to 100. When he played against Iowa State, couldn't get to 100. So that's what I think about Cade McNamara. I understand why he left Michigan, but at the same time, Iowa cannot throw the football. They have not proven they can throw the football. What I would do if I was Jim Knowles, I'm sure you guys agree with this, put everybody up on the line and make Cade McNamara make a throw that can beat you, because he can't do it.
And I mean, adding on that too, I know last week against Michigan State, we saw probably more three linebacker sets than we're used to seeing from Ohio State. And I think in this game in particular, I don't think you'll have to do that as much. I know they were trying to load the box up and whatever else, but I think Michigan State kind of exploited the coverage of the linebackers using their tight ends off of play action and stuff like that. So I think this week you're going to see probably more Lathan Ransom, Caleb Downs kind of coming into the box closer to the line of scrimmage to try to help with that. I mean, we know that they can come up and run support and they play really well on the run game, but especially covering tight ends, I don't think you'll have to rely on linebackers as much this week, since you saw Michigan State kind of exploit it a little bit. So I think you're going to see the safeties come down in coverage and cover the tight ends a lot more than instead of having like 3 linebacker looks out there. But yeah, I mean, 2 tight ends are 2 of their top 3 reception getters this year. So they're going to use their tight ends. And I think Michigan State kind of gave a little bit of a blueprint on how to move the ball against the Buckeyes, early on at least. But, Knowles made great adjustments in the second half. So I'm sure he'll be ready this week to stop that.
Just to give some context on Caleb Johnson's season so far, he is 14th in the country overall in just attempts. I mean, he has 82 rushing attempts, second in rushing yards, yards per carry. Funny enough. I mean, he is averaging 8.3 yards a carry, 171 yards per game. I mean, he is basically that entire offense. And I want to shift gears here a little bit, guys, because it sounds like Ohio State's not going to have a problem covering Iowa's offense for the most part, but want to shift to the offensive side of the ball. So Ohio State's offensive line is allowing the second fewest quarterback hits right now at 3. They're also allowing the fewest pressures allowed at 25. But we saw the offensive line kind of struggle at least a little bit against Michigan State. Going into this game, just some stats on how Iowa looks. So Iowa is actually 5th in the country at rushing yards allowed per game. Do you guys think Ohio State's offensive line can create enough in the ground game for Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins? Again, Michigan State kind of bottled them up last weekend, and we know if there's one thing about Iowa, they're always going to have a top-ranked defense. And the last couple times that they played Ohio State, they have done really well at containing the Buckeyes in the run game.
I think that's the biggest question, right? Is can we play? This is the best defense we've played all year. And so can we get it going on the ground? And if not, can we create enough through the air to really separate ourselves from Iowa in this game? Because offensively, they're not going to be pressuring us with the scoreboard, but defensively, which is their strength, they could hinder the offense enough to make it a close game. So if we can get it going, I think we will. But if we can get it going on the ground, I think that leads to a really, really easy win for the Buckeyes.
I mean, to kind of add on that, this is a defense that's already gotten 10 sacks on the year. I mean, the D-line has got 9 themselves. They got 3 guys with 2, and I think it's Aaron Graves. He's got 3 on the year already, and he's a D lineman. So it's going to be interesting in the passing game, especially because we really haven't seen a defense like this. So I'm sure Iowa's going to do a lot of different things to try to get Will Howard off schedule. There's probably going to be a lot of different looks that he isn't used to seeing so far this year. So it's really, he's just going to have to trust his eyes and just let it rip, instead of trying to second guess himself, because they're going to throw some weird stuff at him. I already know that, because Iowa, like you said, Jordan, their offense isn't going to put pressure on us. It's going to be the defense that really kind of keeps this game in check. So, I'm kind of nervous, especially with the defense like this. Now, it is a home game, so that definitely helps, having the home crowd to back you up. But it's going to be a tough defense. It's going to be a really good test to see how legit this offense is.
Yeah, for sure. You look at funny enough, Iowa overall defensively is normally one of the top teams in the country. But when it comes to their pass defense, they are actually at near the bottom in the country. So currently they are ranked 84th in their pass defense. Ohio State's passing offense is ranked 12th. I think this is a game where Iowa's strength is their rushing defense. I would almost say I think they started off with Will Howard getting involved with some RPOs early on, move the ball down the field in the passing game to open up the run game, as opposed to the run game, in this case, open up the passing game, because what Iowa's weakness is. It's in the passing game. They lose Cooper DeJean to the NFL, who was one of the best defensive backs in the country. You lose him, and I think this is an opportunity for Ohio State and Will Howard. Will Howard has an opportunity to really make a statement against a very overall good defense. But this is the type of game where I would love to see Will Howard carry this offense. And yet to this point, he hasn't needed to do it. But with games coming up against Oregon, against Nebraska, and against Penn State, I want to see him build that. And I think this is a great opportunity for him to do just that.
Yeah. Just can't turn the
Mhm.
ball over. Can't turn the ball over. That's the big thing, because with Iowa's offense not being explosive, you can't give them short fields, turn it over, in our half of the field. So you just got to take care of the football and just make the right plays.
No, I agree. As far as Iowa in this game, what do you guys think Iowa has to do in order to, I would say, stay in this game? Because the biggest thing is their offense. Is their defense good enough, you think, to keep them in this ball game, or is this a situation where more than likely going to be close in the first half, and then the Buckeyes just go on one of their runs like they always do in the second half and just blow them out?
I think it's going to come down to if Iowa's defense can create turnovers in this game. And I think they're good enough to hang with Ohio State in the first half, but if they can get turnovers, quick stops on defense, I think that would definitely keep them in this football game. Because if they're able to, I think the whole recipe for this game for Iowa is going to be chew clock when they get it, run the ball, try to take up as much time of possession as possible, and then hope your defense can create big plays to put you in a short field. And if Ohio State can limit those turnovers, I just don't think it's going to be very close if they can do that. But Iowa's going to have a recipe coming in, and if they're able to follow that game plan, it might come down to fourth quarter final drive, and people don't want to hear that, but it just, if Will Howard doesn't take care of the football, make some bad reads, that could keep Iowa right in the game.
Well, and so with Iowa, this is definitely this is probably the best defense the Buckeyes have seen, right? But on the other side, this is the best offense Iowa's seen yet.
True.
So it goes twofold, this is both each other's biggest game to date, biggest test to date on both sides of the football. So, you hit it right on the head, Jordan. Just got to limit turnovers, limit penalties too. I know there's a Will Kazmarek last week had a big penalty that negated possibly a touchdown. So it's little things like that. You got to keep it clean, take care of the football, execute the plays, make the layups. And I think they'll do that. Will Howard, he comes out. He's been looking really sharp on the first couple of drives of the game in the last couple of weeks. So I just expect to continue to build on that. And don't be surprised if Chip Kelly throws some more creative stuff out this week just to kind of get deeper into his bag and kind of keep Iowa on their toes.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah. I mean, I agree with you guys there. And I mean, when you look at Iowa too on the defensive side of the ball, these linebackers, it's the strongest group that Iowa has on the field. I mean, Jay Higgins already has 34 total tackles. Right now, Nick Jackson has 25. Like, they are the guys that make this defense go. Nick Jackson already has a sack. I mean, that is one thing you mentioned, Nick. They do get after the quarterback very well. They will force turnovers. I mean, you look right now, and Iowa already on the season has 5 interceptions that they forced. So, the defense is going to get after you. But again, like, make Will Howard comfortable in the pocket. Let's see him make some throws down the field, because this is a perfect game to do it. Because it's going to get from here, it's only going to get tougher, as we know, because you have a matchup going to Eugene, to Autzen Stadium, one of the toughest places to play in the country. So this is an opportunity to really, Will Howard, get a lot more confidence, get some good momentum going into the next weekend. But anyways, guys, what do the Buckeyes have to do to win this game today? And then we'll go ahead and give our predictions and if they cover the spread.
Beating a dead horse here, but limit turnovers. And I would think defensively, they just need to play sound football. Like, there's not anything special they're going to need to do on defense. So, just make the tackles when they're there and don't let those big plays happen, because honestly, like, Caleb Johnson's going to be your biggest threat for a big play. And if they can limit him, I think it's going to be a pretty easy day for the defense. So offensively, just limit those turnovers. And I think we get a pretty easy win at home.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. There's really not much to add, and we've covered it. It's got to take care of the ball. That's what it's going to come down to at the end of the day. It's just because the defense is going to do their thing, and if they are able to force a turnover or two like they did last week, that's just icing on the cake, man. So you just got to take advantage of what the defense gives you and just make the right play. That's it. That's what it comes down to. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Agree on the offensive side of the ball. The offensive line, I want to see the offensive line bounce back. Like I said, I thought they kind of took a step back compared to what we saw the previous couple games this year. So want to see them take a step forward, especially them getting ready for the matchup next weekend. This would be a great time to do it against a top defense in the country. So want to see a bounce back from the offensive line. And then Will Howard, kind of like you guys said, just don't make mistakes. This is an opportunity for you to make a statement and really show that you are the best quarterback in the Big Ten. This is the opportunity to do that against a defense that's ranked 84th in the country against the pass. For the defensive side, it's pretty simple. Stack the box. Do not let Caleb Johnson beat you. There's no reason Caleb Johnson should beat you. This Iowa offensive line is one of the weaker ones they have had over the last couple of years. That said, they are a group that is very sound in technique. They are coached very well, always have been on the offensive line, but it is not talent-wise, NFL prospect-wise, does not have the same amount of talent they have had in years past. So something just to keep in mind there. So stack the box, make Cade McNamara beat you down the field, because he has yet to prove at any point in his career that he can do it. And I think if you can blow them out if Cade has to throw this ball 30 to 40 times. So
yeah, that's a bad day for Iowa if that ends up being the case.
Very bad day. Very bad day. I mean, they're only averaging 5.7 yards per attempt. And in the two games against Iowa State and Minnesota, he has thrown for about 3.3 yards per attempt. So it's absolutely the key to success. And that's a great segue into the Buckeyes are a 19.5-point favorite at home, 3:30 on CBS. Do you guys think they cover that? Do you think they cover that spread? And then give your prediction.
What was the spread? Sorry, I missed that number.
19.5. Buckeyes are favored minus 19.5.
I'm leaning, yeah.
I think they
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a slow start. Like, I think the offense might come out a little flat. Just with the defense that they're going to see, they might come out a little flat. But I think they'll get it going in the back 3 quarters. I mean, second half is always when the Buckeyes seem to thrive the most. So I think they cover pretty easily. I'm gonna say Buckeyes 38-10. They win 38-10 and cover.
Okay.
I'm pretty close with you, Nick. I just wrote my score down before you gave yours. I said 35-3. I think Ohio State actually keeps Iowa out of the end zone this game. And I think they just put together a good first half, giving up only 3, and then the second half they come out, make some adjustments, and hold Iowa off the board, shut them out in the second half. So 35-3.
Like it. I like it. I have 31-10. I think Iowa will get a turnover in this game, and that will put them in a position to get a touchdown. I see that happening at least once. Iowa's very good at forcing turnovers. But then I also just see, I think if they are going to get another score, like a field goal, it's going to be early, because we've seen Ohio State so far this year just for whatever reason. And again, even against Michigan State didn't score super early, but they were moving the ball and then the Buckeyes defense forced some turnovers. But I will say, I think Michigan State obviously helped us with some of those turnovers. That said, Iowa, I think we at least get a field goal and a touchdown. So I got 31-10 in this game. So it should be a good game, that's for sure. It's going to be a test, like on the Iowa defense. We've seen it a lot. Is always comes ready to play.
Yeah,
under Kirk Ferentz.
I will say the schedule is slowly ramping up. It's like every game I care a little bit more about it.
Yep.
It's like we started out with the MAC teams, and our out of conference competition wasn't great, Marshall, and then we got into Big Ten play. Like, all right, Michigan State better than years past.
On the road, night game.
Yeah, now we're crawling up to Iowa, who's been tough, and then we got Oregon, and we're starting to care about these games a little bit more as they're going.
Yeah, it's going to be just really hoping, and I'm not saying it'll happen because the Buckeyes have been prepared under Ryan Day. You always just have to have in the back of your mind worrying about, are you looking too far ahead? And just don't look too far ahead in this game, guys, because you're gonna have a battle with Iowa. One thing with Kirk Ferentz, they're not going to score a lot of points. They don't, but they will play you almost as hard as anybody. Yeah. So we're very fortunate this game is at home because we do not have a good history at Iowa. So it's a good thing this game is at home. As we wrap things up, anything else you guys want to add?
They're wearing the dope gray unis. That's sick.
Gray, all grays, baby.
The gray is sweet. So I wish maybe one time wear like the white pants with the gray unis. See how that would look. Might be kind of nasty.
Or you have like someone shared on Twitter the other day. It's literally an all iced out white, and even the helmet's white, but it has Buckeye leaves on it too.
I wish we'd have an all white uni.
Make it happen, Ross. Make it happen, Ross. But anyways, guys, be sure drop a like on the video if you would, please. Again, thank you to everyone who tunes into the Ohio State Game Day previews. Subscribe if you're brand new to the channel. If you're on audio only, take that quick second. Just drop a 5-star review to help push the show out to other Ohio State football fans. We will talk to you guys all on Tuesday night. As always, go Buckeyes.